So the panel members will give a few brief stories, testimonies, if you want, about their experience that illustrate how connected or disconnected, in some cases, our students might feel with the campus. They may make some suggestions for faculty on how to help students find their way to these offices that are really terrific resources. But most of our students, many of our students, especially early on, do not know that yet.
But I was just going to also just have a dialogue with you and tell you a little bit about, we're up on the 4th floor. We'd like to take over the 4th floor, but we just can't get them to get rid of those books. But we have commandeered the first section as you come off on the 4th floor of the library. Those tables are reserved for us. And you go around the corner, and we have another section, and then you go around another corner, and we have the first year experienced peer mentors. So we're really creeping out with our support and trying to make the 4th floor the happening floor. And just quickly, a brief history. We used to be located all different places on campus. And 2 years ago, we joined together. And so the math, the writing, the discipline tutors, so we clarify that a little bit. And then we have a very small program that we call academic coaching, and I'll talk to you all about that. But we have, last academic year, we had over 5,000 sessions. That's 1,000 sessions in each of the writing, that we call them the pods. We like to be really new age about the writing pod, the math pod, the discipline pod. Each had over 1,000 sessions in their areas. And the academic coaching pod was only in the 30s or 40s, but that's because it's kind of a little reserved program. But we have this one, maybe, have any of you gotten a Saturday morning email from TutorTrack? Yay, it's coming through, yes. TutorTrack is we got it a year ago. We're doing it for a second year, and it's fab. And we love it because it lets you know who's coming in for assistance. Now, students sometimes go, I don't know if I want them to know I was here. And we say, oh no, they love it. They love knowing. And I always give that, if you're sitting on the fence, and you might go A or B, and they say, oh, look how many times they went to the Learning Support Center, you're 1 point away, they'll push you over that side. So we try to get them to, we do say if you don't want them to know, we'll honor that, but we try to encourage them to get those tutor notes. They also, I think, if you look at them, we hope that way we train tutors that you can see what students might be struggling with in your classes. We feel we are really a great team up there. Our mission is to help the beginning student in Gen Ed courses, which is, we hope next year to be called the University Core Curriculum. But we're there to really help launch those beginning students. But we have more students coming in for the 200 and 300 level courses. And we don't turn anybody away, though we do reserve our appointments for the 100 level. And anybody walks in, we say, well, how can we help you? And many times we will send them over to if they're the science tutors, the Center for Science Engagement. We know that there are pockets of other tutoring through grant kinds of things, and we have all that information. But we do try to help anybody who comes in the door in some way. Our obstacles. I go out to a lot of first-year experiences. Anybody teaching a first-year experience class? I go out to a lot of first-year experiences, and I thought you might be interested to know when I ask students, why didn't you get help? The last time you had a challenge in life, why didn't you get any help? And I'll tell you what they say, and I'm not going to read all of them. I have like 4 classes in here. Because I like to be independent and do things myself. I'm scared to ask for help. I don't like to feel vulnerable. I want to see if I can solve problems on my own. I was too shy. I got kicked out of the house and didn't know who to go to. So those are kind of a sampling of what some of the students, that they were asked that question about help. I like to handle my own problems. Commuter college, it's hard to find places to connect. And why not connect over learning? So our tutors, just so you know, are trained. They have a lot of training. Weekly for the writing tutors, and every other, or I should say twice a month for the other pods, the math and the discipline pods. And that is essential. But what do they have problems with? again and again, it's writing papers, writing papers, writing papers, writing assignments. How to manage my time is number 2. I don't know how to manage and learn on my own. It's another one. And math. Those are the top 3 that we get when we go in and talk to students. So one of the messages too that, it's an intentional conversation possibly when you have a student in your office. And it's one that I do with students when they come in. And you've got two things going on. You've got these classes that you're taking. And then I try to gently say, I said, there's this foundational wall, and you got a little mortar missing. Your writing skills, your math skills, or whatever it is, after we explore it, that they're just rocking your house a little bit. So you got to do a couple things. You got to continue to work in these classes, but we'll help you build those foundational skills. And one way to do this, we allow people to come in twice a week for writing. You can start in the beginning, and twice a week come in to get writing assistance. They don't get that picture. So you got to have that intentional conversation that you can succeed, you can do this, but we really got to build your foundation. And working with tutors and coming in on a regular basis will make that significant. So when the number one thing we find when we ask students, why did you come? The number one reason they came? Their faculty suggested that they come. So it's really about you having those conversations with them and knowing that you say, if you work with people over there and you work with me, we can bring you along. We have, like if you're teaching a psychology course, the tutor could meet with you. We have an English faculty, 2 English faculty, 101, that meet one time on our area. And we put out a little table. We also think that we can look and see the number 1 department for sending students for writing assignments. And I think if we have a community, what do you want in your writing assignments? What's missing? What kinds of things would you like us to concentrate on? If we have a lot of students who come in, not a lot, I take that back. We have a few students who come in and say, I have a writing assignment. Did you have the writing assignment with you? No, they put it on the board. Did you write it down? No. Can you tell me what you're supposed to write about? Yeah, kinda. And so that kind of thing, we would love to have assignments on file. If you make up your writing assignments, we'll make a file for you of your writing assignments, so we have it there and we can pull it up. So we'll design a presentation for your class too. So if you want us to come, and we'll bring the tutor. Now tutors will ask to come into your class if you're teaching a gen ed to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Good? Yeah? Thank you for coming. I was going to say I'm really excited to be here. I love getting to work with faculty, and I've done it before in other institutions, and my favorite are, first year incoming junior faculty, because I feel like if I can grab you now, then maybe I get you forever. That's kind of like where I go. So my name's Maria. I'm part of the Angelina Pedroso Center for Diversity and Intercultural Affairs. That's a mouthful. But I serve as the director of the Latina Resource Center, and I kind of see myself as part of you all. I literally started maybe 3 weeks ago. So I'm brand spanking new to this campus, but I'm really excited to be a part of this center. So a little bit of a background. The center was started in 2010. So we're really new, and within our center we have multiple centers. So there's the Latina Resource Center, there's African American Student Affairs, there's the LGBTQIA Center, there's the Women's Center, and then there's our Asian and Global Center, which was completely new to me, because if you look at models of centers like this nationally, typically it's Asian American, but with this center, because we're so cool, we're really acknowledging the European populations. That's something that's a little bit different for me being a part of this center. And we do a little bit of everything. So, I would like to ask you to think back to when you were in school, whether it was grad school or as an undergrad, and think of us as that space that you used to go to for support. Whatever that place was, for me it was a women's center and a center like this, just kind of a place that I could go, hang out, be in community with others, benefit from the programming. Those are some of the things that we do. And one of the ways that we'd like to collaborate with you all is in multiple ways. I mean, if there's an idea a research or someone new that's in your field or whatever, that you feel can fit into one of our centers or all around, because we are an intercultural center, so we do a lot of work through intersectionality. Please approach us and say, hey, there's a great author, I would love to bring them, these are the reasons why, can you get it, can you do it? And more than likely we're like, yeah, if we can make it happen, we would love to make it happen. But that would be a way that we can collaborate with you all, that we would ask you to do that. If there's research that you'd like to talk to people about, we have a beautiful space. We're located in the B Building 159. We'd love to host whatever your research, whatever topic you want to talk about. You want to do a small lecture, whatever it is, please let us know. The only thing is that you'd have to collaborate with one of our centers to use our space. That kind of became the rule. But other than that, we'd love to host that for you. So, those are just a few, because I can sit here and talk about a million ways that we could collaborate. But one of the biggest things is that we'd love for you to see us as a resource. So if you have a student that comes into your class, and please give me a call and say, hey, I have a student that's in need of this, maybe I can find the resource for you. More than anything, we really believe that we are a web, so we're here to support students all around. So you see them in your classroom, we see them outside of the classroom, but the more that we can stay connected, the better that we can retain the students in. Was that, retention is an issue here, and especially, students will come in as freshmen and then they lose them somewhere around their sophomore year. That's where they tend to drop off. So we're working hard to really figure out a way to be a part of the solution, and we see it as that the more connected that we are with you all, the better. So we'd love to work with you on that. So, please contact us. So we do a lot of stuff around programming. We do trainings. In our center, we have a safe space ally training that we do that we'd love for you to be a part of, and just come through and come in, and you'll get one of those cool stickers to hang on your door. But more than anything, to have you as an ally of our center in talking with your students. Just so you know, our hours of operation, Monday and Friday, we're open from 8:30 to 4:30, and then Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we're open until 7 o'clock. One of the things that, in speaking about perceptions, is that obviously this institution has an HSI designation, and one of the things that I hear from students is that they think, oh, the Pedroso Center is only there for Latinos, and that could not be further from the truth. We're there to serve every student. So that's one of the things that, as you're talking to your students, if you hear something like that, please dispel that rumor, because that is not true. We're doing a lot of things to really make sure that we kind of wrangle in as many people in the population as possible. But sadly, that's one of the perceptions that I've heard, that I've been told about in my brief time here.
Hi everyone, so I'm Dr. Christina Zito, and I'm the Director of Student Health and Counseling Services. During today's presentation, I think I'm going to focus more on the counseling services end of the spectrum, because we definitely get a lot of questions about that. And also, I do want to let you know that I have some vocal cord challenges, and so sometimes my voice goes in and out. Just let me know if I need to repeat anything. So I'm actually going to pass out some information. I'm not going to go over every single piece, just for the sake of time, but there is a document here that really focuses on helping skills for faculty. So sort of what to do when you are facing a student who might be in distress, how to refer them appropriately, how to really just be there for them in terms of their time of need, and to also hold your own anxiety about a student who's in front of you who might also be really, really anxious. So feel free to look that over. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. So I think it'll be helpful just to give you a sense of what the services are. So at Counseling Services, we're located in the D building. There's the financial aid office. If you walk down into the lower level, that's where Counseling Services is. So it's in the lower level of the D building. I have 4 full-time staff, 2 postdocs, and 3 part-time advanced therapy practicum students. So we're a pretty small office serving over 11,000 students. During this past year, we had over 4,500 appointments, and that included 400 new students coming in seeking services. So again, we get a lot of demand in terms of seeking out help, which is a great thing. Does it mean that we're covering all students? Not necessarily, because some things that Maria and Catherine have referred to is that there are students out there who don't feel they need to go out and ask for help. Now, that can be very, very complicated. For some of our students, it's, yes, they're just really, really independent. They want to figure it out on their own. There's a lot of that resiliency in them, and that's fantastic. For some of our students, seeking help is a product of cultural messages, family messages, right? A lot of these different pieces in terms of you can't go outside of your group, of your family, in order to seek out help. I see that a lot, especially in terms of our students of color, our first generation students, where sort of seeking that help is not necessarily commonplace, right? Not to say it doesn't happen with our majority students, but I do typically see that a lot more with our students of color. And so one of the things that you can do in terms of your role is to really be a mental health ally. And mental health ally, it's a complex thing. You know, part of it is just educating yourselves in terms of what are some of the common concerns our students face. Here at NEIU, in terms of our students, the number one reason why students come in is because of anxiety. Anxiety can be labeled as nervousness, just feeling uncomfortable in their own skin, but that's the number one. And if you look nationwide in terms of college student mental health, anxiety has become number one, and that has been the case for at least 5 to 7 years. It used to be depression, but anxiety, there's something going on culturally in terms of our world that has really pushed anxiety to number one. Our second most common is depression. Third, academic concerns. And so it's good. Mental health issues, it's not in a vacuum. It is impacted by a lot of different factors. The fourth reason why students come in is because of relationship issues, and that's broadly speaking. It could be romantic relationships, it could be a lot of family. One of the things I've noticed, before coming to NEIU, I was at the University of Michigan for 11 years, and the amount of trauma that I'm seeing here on this campus is a lot higher than what I'm used to. And trauma can then ripple into it can influence personality disorders, access to issues, and so there's a lot of emotional regulation that needs to be taken care of. And so again, I'd love to get more staff because I feel like there is tremendous need. And so because we cannot necessarily serve every single one, working with our community partners is really important, to knowing what the resources are like in Chicago. And that's one of the blessings of being in Chicago. There are a lot of different places around here that take up a bunch of different insurances, do slides, all that. And so knowing about those resources is important. And then the fifth reason for services, which actually was surprising to me because it wasn't like this for my other place, is anger. And so again, anger broadly speaking, sometimes it's just labeled as frustration, sometimes it is more in terms of the hostility piece, but just that anger. Okay? So our counseling services are free of charge to currently NEIU students. Our services are confidential, and so sometimes I will get feedback from faculty or staff, hey, I sent someone over to you, can you tell me did they make it? Because of confidentiality, I'm not going to disclose, okay? There's ethics there, there's law there. Then if a student comes in, we are doing a very comprehensive assessment. And so we are looking at not just the presenting problem, we're looking at family issues, social support, academic issues that may be coming up, as well as looking at suicide, homicidality, trauma issues, and previous psychiatric history. And so it is a very, very thorough assessment. And sometimes people will ask, well, do you have a session limit? We are time limited, again, because of the number of students that we do have. However, it is a very much a case-by-case basis, and that is influenced by, does a student have insurance? Okay, if they don't have insurance, they have a lot of need, we're going to keep them probably longer than someone who does have insurance, again, because we want to make sure that it's very unique to that specific person coming in. Sometimes people think about counseling as just individual therapy. It isn't just individual therapy, especially here we are a college counseling center, so it's not just someone coming in for individual. We also offer couples therapy, group therapy. We are offering 3 different groups this semester, 2 which are just drop-ins, so they don't necessarily need to be a client even of the center, so they don't need to fill out all that paperwork. They can come in, they can do the drop-ins. On Mondays, We have a stress management group, and so they're learning specific skills, diaphragmatic breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, different things like that. And that's Mondays, 4:15 to 5:30. You can refer a student, they can come once, they can come for the entire semester. Each week will be a little different. On Thursdays, we're offering a process group called Understanding Self and Others, and this is really about focusing on relationships. Again, relationships is one of our top 5 concerns. How to better connect with others, how to regulate some of their own emotions as well. So that's Thursdays 2 to 3:30. And then on Thursdays from 12 until 12:45, that's our other drop-in group, and that's focused on mindfulness and meditation. There's been tremendous research done on mindfulness and meditation and really looking at its positive impact on anxiety, on depression. For me, it's a very positive focus type of therapy because essentially how can you use yourself and staying grounded in the moment in order to deal with all the different things that are essentially just bombarding you. So we are open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 6, and then Fridays we're open from 9 until 4. Students can make an appointment by just calling our office and saying that they'd like to make an appointment. So pretty easy in terms of making that initial appointment.
Can you explain to me, how does a walk-in work? If I take a student physically over there, what's that process?
Okay, so walk-in services. Walk-in services, we do encourage that as needed. Okay, that's typically when a student is in crisis. Okay, so if a student is in crisis, and again, we're not defining what that crisis is going to look like for that student, but they could be having a panic attack in that moment. They may be feeling suicidal in that moment. They may feel like they are in danger of hurting another person. Okay, those are more of those crisis situations. If someone were to walk in, part of it is coming to the front desk, letting Jim, who is our front desk receptionist, know that the student is in crisis and they'd really like to see someone today. We will make as much of an effort as possible to see that person as soon as possible. We'll do an assessment and see where they're at. If someone needs to be seen for, like again, time-limited individual therapy, we'll get them scheduled right away. If someone needs to go to the hospital, we do have partnerships with folks in the Chicagoland area to do the transportation in. If it's someone who could really benefit from learning supports, we'll make sure to connect with them. And so again, it's really about getting that student's story in that moment. So, and in terms of you walking them over, that can be helpful because if they're in such a high level of distress, we might want to talk with you just to get a little bit of background information, because sometimes when they're in that high level of distress, it's very hard to communicate.
Yes.
Yeah, and so if you feel like, okay, it would really be beneficial to walk them over as opposed to just sending them over, please feel free to do that.
I've been having recently some difficulties with students who sort of have opened up enough to tell me that they have anxiety problems and stuff like that, depression, and I tell them immediately about the counseling services and how, used the counseling services on our campus are to helping students. So it really would be an easy place to go to. And I even ask, would you like me to go with you? And, no, it's great. Yeah, I'll go there right now. And I never see them again in class. And that kind of frustrates me, and I wonder,
I'm dealing with it right now.
I probably
So, yeah.
do the wrong thing. I probably should just take them by the hand.
So I'm sorry to hear that. Really, our goal is to retain our students. We want our students to be successful. And so I think that's a bigger issue of what's happening because, as you mentioned, from first to second year, there's such a huge drop. I was really surprised by that actually coming to this university. I'm used to 98% retention, and so to come and see that 40% are essentially dropping out is rough.
And I'm only dealing with first-year students. I should add that to it. So maybe that's sort of an artifact of that those students are so unfamiliar with the college environment that, just sort of admitting to this is almost tantamount to, even though I didn't get that impression at all.
Right.
It was
Reveal
just
something to